It's been covered by many publications and news channels about the 61-year-old protester described as a rioter by the media, who was carrying a placard and shouting very unsuitable things to the police during the riots the protests that turned into riots because so many people are feeling frustrated in this country because government after government have ignored them. And this is very sad because this man is a 61-year-old grandfather. I'm not condoning how he protested. I'm not even sure how he protested because I can't find any evidence for more than shouting and holding a placard. But I'm happy to stand corrected if I'm wrong. However, this man has no criminal record and has never been in trouble with the police. He's been sent to jail, and during this short time in jail, the 61-year-old man has taken his own life. Now, I've no doubt this will roll off the back of Keir Starmer because he has about as much empathy as an amoeba when it comes to dealing with members of the public. He thinks we should crack down hard on violence, and violence now includes the spoken word. The spoken word of somebody saying something in the heat of the moment can now get you put in jail, even with excellent behaviour throughout your entire adult life. You still could face a jail sentence, as we know with the recent jailing of Lucy Connolly for her very unsuitable tweet. Again, the heat of the moment. Sadly, Lucy, again, a young mum who lost her 19-month-old child at the hands of an incompetent foreign doctor after 4 visits to A&E because she was deeply concerned about his health and thought it was more serious. She was palmed off by this doctor who's been investigated. He was a foreign doctor, and as you know, we've had a lot of trouble with people faking certification and credentials to come to this country and practice medicine. And Lucy was probably feeling very hurt and injured. She's grieving. She'll always grieve. It's a 19-month-old child that she's lost. And she was in that frame of mind when she tweeted her unsuitable tweet, which has landed her a 3-year jail sentence. This is a clean, tidy, respectable young woman. Husband's a Tory councillor. And yet the Labour councillor who asked for people to be killed, actually asked for people to be killed on the streets of London with a microphone, he's not even been served a sentence yet. So I believe there's so much evidence for two-tier policing, and I believe we are living in a police state now where the police is there to serve the government, not to serve the people, and that is the wrong imbalance. I'm sure ordinary coppers aren't pleased about this, but ordinary coppers have to do what they're told to keep their wages and their pension schemes. And I really worry for the future because this man who's taken his own life must have been at his most depressed he's ever been his entire 61 years. And it's a sad loss. Now, for those of you who come on the thread, and I know it'll happen on Facebook, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. You simply lack human empathy. We're not talking about criminals. We're talking about everyday, ordinary people who have got to the end of the tether. And because of this, I've been treated abysmally, inhumanely by the government and the judiciary, which has also simultaneously been letting paedophiles out, sex offenders and domestic violence instigators back into the community, many of which have reoffended immediately. And how are we supposed to feel about that? How are we supposed to feel? I feel intimidated. I am wary of how I blog. I'm fairly careful anyway, and I don't really ever push marches and rallies because I don't think they actually do anything other than rile people up. It can have a negative impact, as obviously the Southport situation did. But again, to me, the instigator of this, the kindling for this, was the lack of information from the government, and even a judge agreed that they should release the identity of the person. We've yet to find out his true background. We've got guesswork. Obviously he's from Rwandan parents but described as Welsh. I just think this country has lost the plot, and I think the man running the country doesn't actually care. Then to top all that, we have a visit from Bill Gates and the chairman of BlackRock, the mega investment company that's now going to make a shed load of money out of the Build Back Better of Ukraine into a digital country. The profit that must be in these deals that go on behind closed doors is humongous. Not to mention in a country known for money laundering. But anyway, these two characters go and visit Keir Starmer, who must be creaming himself at how important he's become on the world stage. It's just up his street, isn't it? Bearing in mind, he was the only person in public life to insist that Darren Grimes and David Starkey, a renowned historian, should have been charged under Section 6 of the Public Disorder Act so that they could serve custodial sentences. So this visit with Bill Gates and the CEO of BlackRock results in several days later, all of a sudden the government announced a fat jab to get lazy people back to work. Yeah, they're going to give you a free jab. Now, nothing comes for free, does it? The government has to pay for it. The government's going to buy this inoculation from someone, from Bill Gates. Is there anybody else making this jab? I don't think so. Bill doesn't work for nothing. Bill charges money. Bill makes profit. And that profit will come from our government spending money with him, I assume. Happy to stand corrected if I'm wrong. But where does the government get its money from? It gets its money from the taxpayers, from us. So we'll be paying for it, no matter which way around you try and dress this up. Something is going on in number 10. It's the corollary of these two events. Gates turning up, the rollout of this new get thing quick inoculation is just a bit too unsavoury for my liking. And this is where we sit in Britain today. And in Northern Ireland, which is part of Great Britain, they're trying to push a new health bill through that would actually restrain you either by holding you down, physical restraints or sedation, to force you into medication you've previously refused. Now, once you lose body autonomy, there's nowhere else to go. They're taxing us out of our homes and our vehicles. They're taxing us out of using the city streets because they're making ULEZ for bigger towns impossible for people to... Animal charities are closing down Tag Lag because they don't run new vehicles and they can't afford to run in and out city centres. They're impacting on our lives in such an abysmal way. And we have a dead behind the eyes Prime Minister who has no empathy or no visible signs, no evidence of empathy for people that he's supposed to be governing, not ruling. But he's ruling us. He's handling our country as though it was China. People are getting more and more afraid. There's now a new device out that the police can use that can monitor all your messages. Once they get hold of your phone, they can monitor your messages and any traffic you've had, whether you've deleted it or not, personal or otherwise. Now, this machine's available. You're not telling me this isn't going to get into the hands of the wrong people and be used for crime, cybercrime. I'm not quite sure where we're heading. All I know is I'm glad we're pushing back and I'm glad we're getting results from the pushback. And I feel desperately sorry for the family of the man whose life became so unbearable in jail. And we can only imagine what drove him to that, as we know gangs run jails. And there were a lot of sympathisers in these gangs for the people in the hotels. It makes you wonder what to think. So my sympathies are with his family right now. This isn't a criminal family. This isn't the craze. This is a granddad who's been made an example of. And when they actually sentenced Lucy Connolly, the young mum who tragically lost her son to gross negligence in the medical fraternity, they actually said with her sentence it was sending a lesson to teach others. We're not supposed to issue sentences based on that. We're supposed to issue sentences based on the crime, and her crime didn't ask you to be violent. It said, basically, the way she tweeted it, she didn't care what you did. When somebody says that, they're at the end of the tether. So sadly, this young woman will now serve a 3-year jail sentence. It will alter her life forever. It will alter that family's life forever. That child, if she's got any other children, will have to grow up without direct contact with the mother. I'm not sure if she's got the children. I'll find out. I'm still not sure, so maybe someone could put it on the thread. But that's where we sit, and this is why we have to fight, and we fight in every which way we can. I suggest that anybody who works in an industry like the NHS or somewhere where it's hardcore left wing or very, very scrutinised, be very careful about how you decide to fight, because I know that people are victimised when they turn up for protests and riots. And as I've said before, whilst it gives a great feeling of camaraderie, it doesn't actually change any laws. And you run the risk of it falling foul, because as with the march that's coming up, the other side have decided to hold a march on the same day, and the ridiculousness of the London Council has allowed it, which to me is just asking for trouble. So if I was in any form of job where it threatened my livelihood or income, I would do the route of least resistance. You've got to put yourself first now. You've got to put you and yours first, and then do what you can after the fact. Just a little talking on a one-on-one basis to colleagues you might find that sympathise with your viewpoint is enough in some cases to create that nudge to change things. Look how different things are on the landscape now. So that's my message today, and it's very sad to think someone's taken their own life because they've been sent to jail. I mean, that will be such an austere and hostile environment for a man in this position. And we have a PM that I can't see will be bothered one iota about it.